What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see behind me here, we have just started taking the wheel off, and today we're doing inner axle seals. And if you guys aren't familiar with inner axle seals, they are something like this. So this goes on the end of your axle tube, and then your axle shaft goes through it, and you have a grease nipple so that you can actually grease it and everything runs smoothly. This in theory should keep all the dirt and debris out, and in case you go off-roading you don't get any mud or anything in your axle tubes. I know that my axle tubes were really filthy last time, so after recently doing the inner axle tube seals, I thought I would do these just as a precaution. And tomorrow we are taking it off-road, so let's get it done today so that we can go off-roading tomorrow and hopefully not get too much stuff inside the axle seals. But it'll be a good test to see if these actually work, because tomorrow there's going to be quite a bit of water crossings and quite a bit of dirt and debris and mud holes and stuff like that. So let's get to it. Let's start ripping it apart. It's quite easy. First thing I'm going to do, take the caliper off, 2 bolts. Then I'm going to take the shaft off with the entire bearing, so 3 bolts, slip it out, put the new seal in, grease it, put the shaft back in, bolt it all back up, and we'll do the other side. So let's go and let's start ripping it apart. Now we've got everything off. I'm going to clean up the little bit of dried up oil that's here and the tiny bit that's still inside here. But you can see we had a tiny leak after we first changed our axle seal tube, our inner axle seals. What I think that could have been is 2 different reasons. One of them was because I filled it before I actually put the shafts in. So maybe a little bit got into the axle tube before I actually got my chance to put the axle tubes in. Or the other theory that I have is because the axle tube here isn't perfectly smooth. This was actually mentioned to me by a subscriber. Because it's not perfectly smooth, it's never going to seal perfectly. And it is a little bit pitted and it is a little bit old and worn. So hopefully these axle tube seals, the outers, are going to help us get that little bit of fluid that is coming out to stop any debris and dirt from coming in. So let's go, let's slap these on. As we can see, everything is still clean in there. Like, I know my hands look dirty, but it's not milky. It is still a clean oil. So for now, I'm just gonna clean everything up real quick. We're gonna grease those and slap them in. Now we're all clean. Everything looks sort of fresh. I know it's all old and rusty, but it is a 20-year-old Jeep. We gotta work with what we got. So now what I'm gonna do, it does have a grease nipple like I mentioned earlier, but the reason I'm not gonna use the grease nipple right now is I wanna get a good layer of grease all the way in there. So what I'm gonna use is the same stuff I use for my brake sliders. It's a synthetic lubricant. So this stuff is made for high temperature, so it doesn't like melt away once you actually hit high temperatures. So I'm sure it'll be great in here. And then anytime after that, I'm gonna use a synthetic grease in my grease gun anyway. So we should be good. So now I'm gonna go grease this up and we'll slap them in. Now these are a pressure fit, so that means you do push them in and squeeze them in. You don't need any tools or a hammer. You shouldn't anyway. Once you get them in, make sure you leave the grease nipple in an accessible position. So at least here, once everything's put back together, I don't have the brakes or anything in my way. I'll be able to go to the front and grab this grease nipple quite easily. So that's where I'm gonna leave this one for me today. If I do find that it's giving me issues, I can always come in here and spin it. But for now, I think that's where we're gonna leave it. I just tested my axle breather. The axle breather is clear, so that is not an issue. Mine is actually routed all the way up to the top of the rad there, so I really shouldn't have any issues right now. I tried blowing it out and air's coming through, so I don't think it's that. I just think that it is that extra bit of fluid I had in there. So we'll reattach my axle breather and we'll call it a day. I think now I'm gonna just slap on the other side really quick before it gets dark, and we should be done here today. Alright, that side looks good, and now it's time to bang out the other side really quick, like I said, before it gets too dark. So I'm gonna bang this one out super fast, and I'll catch up with you guys after I'm done. Well, that's pretty much it. Not too much else to it. It's quite a simple job. It took me like 25 minutes to do each side, so you guys can probably do it too. It's not a very complicated thing to do. If you guys have done brakes before, then I'm sure you can tackle this one. And from the tight fit that I see from it going in there, I think it will stop all the dirt and debris from going in. It looks good from my end, from what I can see, but tomorrow will be the true test. So definitely stick around for tomorrow's video. If you guys are new around here, jump down there, hit that subscribe button, because we're going off-road and we're going to test this thing, test the new short arm kit, test everything basically to see how it runs, because we're going to be doing a better, more technical trail than we did last week. And I will be taking it for a drive right now, but we also did just get a new winch line. I don't know if we need to test it, but last time I took this trail I had to use it twice, so good chance that we will be testing it tomorrow. And if you guys haven't seen that, it is Concession Lake Trail. I'm gonna be going back there. We did go there for the first time back at the beginning of the season, but we are going back tomorrow. I was planning to go back to Ardbeg tomorrow, where we did the actual like getting stuck and breaking the winch line and all that stuff, but plans have changed. We will probably be going back there this season, just not this weekend. This weekend we will be heading over to Concession Lake Trail, doing a good bit of wheeling there, and there's going to be a good mix of vehicles from SUVs to Jeeps to Gladiator, so all kinds of different stuff, so stay tuned for that. But right now I'm going to clean all this junk up right here and take this thing for a ride and just make sure everything is good, no noises, no squeaks, and everything is seated, and we should be good to go from there. So I'll see you guys in 10 minutes after we go for a drive. And we're back. Just checked, no leaks. I know it's a little hard to see with just the rock lights on, but let me stick this guy in there, and no leaks. So we are good to go on this side, and we are good to go on this side, which means that we successfully stopped that leak. Well, the leak stopped, but we successfully sealed the axles in, and now we don't have to worry about anything getting in or out. So I feel more confident taking it off. Excuse me. I feel more confident taking it off road tomorrow. It should be a good day. I can't wait to see how she performs with the new control arms, because I'm getting a lot more articulation just from that one off-roading trip that we did last week, and I can tell that it's going to do a lot better. So I can't wait to actually go and do the testing on a real trail. But more than that, I just fixed something that's been bothering me since I bought this Jeep. And if you guys have one of these Jeeps, then I'm sure this has been bothering you too, and I'm sure you've had this same issue. And what I'm talking about is, so when everything is latched up and everything is secure, I honestly thought for the longest time that this was a suspension component or something like that. But if you watched any of my off-roading videos, you'll hear and I, for the life of me, could not figure out what it was. I personally thought it was just a suspension component, and I just figured once I keep changing the suspension components from control arms to sway bars to I've done ball joints, I've done the actual springs, the shocks, I've done everything that I can think of, and it was still every time I went over a bump. So what is that? Well, I figured it out. It is this guy right here. And this guy right here is scraping along right here. So just as a quick fix to try it out, I put a shop towel around this one section, and now, and when we latch it all up, no more squeaky squeaky. I cannot explain to you how happy this makes me. I'm finally gonna get to go on the trail and not be squeak, 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 squeak the whole way down, because it makes me feel like my Jeep is broken or something is just not right or something is loose or something. Just, it doesn't sound right. It's not confidence inspiring to go down the trail and go squeak, 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 squeak. It's no fun. It's no fun at all. So I cannot tell you how happy I am to finally have that fixed. Because even driving down the street, you'd hear squeak, 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 squeak the whole fucking time. And it was driving me nuts, and I couldn't actually figure it out. And I've had a lot of you guys ask me what that is. I finally found it. I'm so happy that I finally found it. Now we can take this thing and actually have a good non-squeaky off-road session. So if you guys are new around here, tomorrow we will be taking it off-road, and I do take this thing off-road a lot. So definitely, if you guys are new, jump down there and hit that subscribe button, hit that little notification bell, because you don't want to miss any upcoming content, because believe me, I put this thing through the ringer, and who knows what's going to happen to it next. So trust me, you don't want to miss it. And once again, guys, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you guys for coming out today. Hopefully, I'll see you guys in the next one. So until then, guys, ride safe out there. Peace.